Now we want to work on the order repository. So if we go to our solution and if we go to orders API, let's create a new folder here. We will call this as a repository. In there, we will have to add the interface first. We will call that iOrder repository and we'll be adding a class file for the order repository. Then let's think about what will be the methods that we will need in the interface. The first one is to add an order to the database. So that will return a Boolean flag. So we'll say task of Boolean. We will call that as add order. And here we will say order header. That will be the parameter that we will receive. Now you might be thinking, won't we need details? If you examine the order header, we have a list of details, so we will make sure that that is also populated. That way, if we just receive the order header, it will be sufficient to add the header as well as details. The next thing that we care about is if we examine our order header again, we added a property Boolean payment status. Initially, payment status will be false. So let's say we will be calling our last API for payment, and if that API returns true, then we want to update the order status to be paid. So for that, we will have another method here. We will call that update order payment status. That will retrieve two parameters. First is the order header ID, and next one will be a Boolean on whether it was paid successfully or not. Now, other than that, you can also create methods to get all of the orders for a user or get order details by a user ID. But we won't be implementing that for this course. This will be sufficient for our scope. So if we go back here, let's implement the iOrder repository. And we'll implement the interface. This time we will not be using the application DB context like we were using so far. We will be registering an application DB context as a singleton object for the order repository. And the reason behind that is the singleton object of the order repository will be required inside the Azure Service Bus that we will implement, because that instance will be calling the order repository, so that's why it has to be singleton. So with that dependency, how do we configure the DB context as singleton and access this for only order repository? Let's take a look at that in the next video.